Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 25th of September, the year of the gods 2024, for another Orchestry platform live demo. This one all around one of our newer features, one of our newer capabilities around Orchestry health checks, something that we launched actually not that long ago, about 3 months ago. Super glad that you're all here. It's going to be a really interesting session. Hopefully, some of you have attended our previous demo sessions before. If not, this is probably going to be a little bit different to what you expect. Not too much talking, not too many slides, lots of live demonstrations so we can show you exactly how wonderful the product is and how we can help you. And let's get rocking and rolling. So my name is Michael Pisaric. I am one of the founders here, as well as the CEO and janitor. I use that title because when you're running a startup, you do a little bit of everything. So my responsibilities cover all the way from the top to all the way to the bottom as well, which is wonderful. Lots of experience in Microsoft 365. I've been working with some flavor of Microsoft and SharePoint for the last 15 years. Really fortunate to be leading this awesome group of people here at Orchestry also. And again, if you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, you want to get in touch, we've got lots of our team members online as well, but feel free to get in touch with me as well through Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days, LinkedIn, or directly through email as well. A little bit about us at Orchestry. So we are a platform that really helps you unleash the full potential of Microsoft 365. Listen, we know Microsoft 365 is this huge, amazing platforms of capabilities and solutions and products and license SKUs. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing all over time. But with so many features and capabilities, we wanted to create Orchestry really to help you fulfill that potential and get the most value out of your Microsoft 365 license. Far too many customers that we see, you pay for an E5, you pay $70 a month for your employees. You've got all of these wonderful capabilities in Microsoft 365, but the only thing people are using is maybe email for emails and Teams chat for chats. They're not using any of the other stuff like OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams and Planner and Loop and Copilot and all of that good stuff. Orchestry is a platform that can both help your end users to better adopt underlying Microsoft 365, as well as you as administrators to make sure that you have all of the governance and security and compliance in place to make that happen. We launched in 2020, lots of growth in the last few years. We think we have a wonderful product. Again, everyone's going to say that because, of course, we work for the company. So what I always say is go out and read the reviews. Read the reviews from our customers, from G2, from Capterra. And again, we're really fortunate to work with lots of different customers all around the world and lots of different partners as well. Why do we create Orchestry and kind of what are we trying to do with the platform as well? Just to level set before we jump into the next part of this. Again, what we found is as Microsoft grew and it keeps on growing, we found there's some pretty common challenges, right? And opportunities that we really wanted to address within Orchestry. Microsoft can't do every single thing, right? You know that there's so many capabilities. Microsoft keeps rolling them out. Some of the depths of features and capabilities in some area might be a little bit lacking. And that's what we want to do with Orchestry, really plug some of these gaps that we know that customers like yourselves are looking for. And maybe you're using things like Power Automate, maybe you're using things like PowerShell, or maybe you know those capabilities exist in Microsoft 365, but they're all over different licenses that you have to buy additionally to your core license, and you can't afford it. That's where Orchestry comes in, where we have this beautiful governance, automation, and adoption solution. But the 5 core things that we try to do, the first is around visibility and direction. We want to help you better understand your Microsoft 365 environment so you can make the right decisions at the right time. Our health check feature, which we're going to talk about today, is one of those core things. We can really help you understand your environment, not just Teams and SharePoint, but all the other things like storage, like sharing links, like OneDrive, Teams chats, all of that sort of stuff. Again, to help you understand where you are and to drive you or to point you into a direction of where you should be going, all without PowerShell, all without scripting, and ready to go in a beautiful UI. The other thing that we also know is if you're an M365 admin, and I'm sure some of you folks are, it is a really difficult job, I think, being a Microsoft 365 admin. Things keep changing. People complaining. Everyone wants stuff all the time, right? You don't have time to do any of this stuff. So again, what we are trying to do as well is build an automation platform as well through here, to make sure that we can give you that ability to be able to use those resources effectively, right? So you're not essentially spending time running scripts and making sure that flows are working correctly and all of that sort of stuff. You're really using your time effectively. The third thing is around lack of governance. Everyone's favorite word, right? Everyone used to love the G word governance before. Now we've made it more attractive, calling it co-pilot readiness. But again, lack of governance is something that we see can really stifle organizations, either from an adoption perspective by locking everything down and not giving people and not empowering our users, or from a security perspective by having it too open and not having enough governance in place and having things like information leaks and security challenges as well. We know there's lots of governance features in Microsoft 365. Again, what we try to do with Orchestry is really fill in those gaps and get your end users, your content owners involved in a way that we think is really, really unique. The fourth is around security and compliance concerns. So again, external sharing, permissions, all of this stuff, I think, used to be a pretty significant challenge. It's becoming more and more of a challenge with Copilot in particular, because again, if you've been to any of our previous webinars, you've heard me ramble about this. Generative AI, particularly for Copilot, relies on good quality content and making sure that only the right people have the right access at the right time. And in most organizations, people's permissions around Teams and SharePoints and OneDrive are pretty terrible because you can easily get to that state. So again, we have lots of capabilities around Orchestry to understand things like sharing links, what's been shared with who, external links, guest users, and everything else. And then the final thing around is around AI and Copilot in particular. I would probably say we hear the word Microsoft 365 Copilot or Copilot for Microsoft 365 or whatever it's called this week about 3,000 times a day. We know this is a new technology. We know a lot of you are in the process of getting started and trying to understand how you can roll this technology out. But also we know that a lot of you are having issues with getting ready for Copilot. Again, making sure your content is great and making sure that you have the right permissions assigned. And with Copilot, the dirty little secret is if your content is garbage, that generative AI experience for your users is going to be garbage as well. And it's a combination of the content that you have, but also the permissions around that content as well. Making sure that if I'm a user and I'm generating something, that I'm using the right version of that document or that piece of information within my organization, not something that I've accidentally had access to that I didn't know about in the past. So that's why we exist. Now, in terms of where we are, whoops, let me go back here. Oh, hang on, let's go back here. Perfect. So again, with Orchestry, lots of features, lots of capabilities. Feel free to look at our previous webinars. Today, we are going to cover health checks. Now, if you remember last time, I think we covered recommendations. I think we covered guest users. Again, we've only got 45 minutes. The first time I did one of these, we tried to go through everything, and it was, I think, an awful experience for both myself and everyone else leading to the webinar, because it was me just flooding you with information. So now we're trying to do this a little bit more focused. But again, today is going to be all around one of our new features, which is called Orchestry Health Checks, which I think you are going to love. Okay, couple of things. First thing is get engaged. If you have any questions, feel free to ask through chat. Again, we try to make these as interactive as possible. Please, please, please ask questions, say hello. Otherwise, it's just me talking to my camera. Not so much fun. But again, if you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, ideas, put them into chat. More than happy to help, more than happy to answer them as well. Again, this is going to be a live demo. Things are probably going to go wrong and crazy. It's going to be enjoyable and hilarious for all of us, but make sure that you ask whatever questions that you need as well. Okay, so let's get into it. What are we going to cover today? We're going to cover a feature of the Orchestry platform called health checks, right? this is a new feature that we launched. And the reason that we launched this feature is a couple of things. The first thing that we heard from our customers is that Orchestry is fantastic, lots of capabilities around Teams and SharePoints and guests and everything else. But they wanted us to increase our amazing reporting experiences into some other capabilities within Microsoft 365. So things like OneDrive, storage, sharing links, all of that stuff. So we've done that for you. You're going to see that what a health check allows you to do is to create an amazing, what we call a health check, which is a point in time snapshot of your tenancy and have a whole range of information there. Now, what a health check contains is Orchestra usage, workspace growth and breakdown, a lot of stuff around guests. We even bring in things from the security side, from the secure score, inactivity, sharing link analysis, storing analysis, all this sort of good stuff, which we're going to show you as well. But it's not just kind of creating a report. What we really heard from a lot of customers and from Microsoft partners in particular, and I'll talk about customers first, but a lot of customers came to us and said, listen, we run a Microsoft instance. What we really want to do is sit down maybe once a month or once a quarter, get a complete snapshot of our tenant for that time period. So maybe it's for the last month or for the last quarter or even for the last year, and be able to look at that data, look at the changes that have happened in our environment so we can understand what's going on and make decisions around that. Now, again, if you're not using something like Orchestry, that's really difficult to do because, I mean, you could use PowerShell, but you're not going to get all of that historical data unless you're running a PowerShell script every single night, maybe dumping all of that data to a database and storing all of that, right? Painful experience. So what we can do now is generate one of these things for you. You can see that beautiful report, but there's also additional capabilities. I can go and then I can annotate this report as well. Because what we quickly found is there's no point just giving people a bunch of data. Imagine if you as an IT admin can generate one of these reports for, let's say, the last month, annotate it by putting in your comments into it. This is working good. This is not working good. Oh my God, where have these guest users come from? And then being able to send that report to people within your organizations. Maybe it's an executive team or someone else. If you're a Microsoft partner, imagine the power of this if you're running something like a managed service. You're working with one of your customers. Every month you can create one of these health checks, send it to your customers, annotate it within here also, and give you the ability to have some really good conversations with your customers through here. So the first part of the health check is this report piece that we have. The other part as well, which we allow you to do, is we allow you to curate or to put curated callouts and annotations on this particular report. So this becomes like this package of here's all the data, here's what we think that we can do. And this even plugs into our recommendations engine, which I'll quickly cover. So essentially, you can say, based on this particular snapshot, here's some annotations, which is some comments. Here's things that we can do, some recommendations, and let's get rocking and rolling. All right. Before I jump into a demo here, let's go into today's poll. We're 13 minutes in. Far too much talking for myself. Let us go and do a little bit of demoing. People. Again, if you would be so kind as to fill in the, fill in the survey, that'd be great. All right, hopefully you can see my screen. Just do a little thumbs up if you can, or comment hysterically if you can't see anything, but hopefully you can. Perfect. If you remember what Orchestry is, so it's a Teams app into Microsoft 365. We're not going to cover all of this, but what we will cover is we are going to go to app.orchestry.com for this particular tenant. Now, really quickly, if you don't remember, Orchestry's a whole range of capabilities, a whole range of solutions, everything from provisioning to things like lifecycle management to help you understand your platform, guest management to help you understand your guests, lots of amazing features in terms of reports. Couple of things I want to point out if you were here 3 weeks ago, new insight reports, not just new insight reports, but insight reports around sharing activity, which I know everyone is asking for because you're trying to get ready for Copilot, but really amazing new sharing reports. So I can maybe see the sharing link activity across my entire organization in terms of recent anyone links or organizational links. If you remember, look how beautiful this experience is, filtering, searching, and all of that sort of stuff. Another really good insight, which we've also put in as well, is now I can see all of my workspaces, which maybe don't have any sensitivity labels applied through here. Again, super useful, so I can understand what they are. This is what we just released 3 weeks ago. So lots of good stuff. And again, we're trying to make it that the Orchestry platform is constantly evolving. Now, last time we talked about recommendations as well. If you remember, our intelligent recommendations engine, helping you understand what you should be doing at any point in time. Today, we're going to talk about our newest feature called Orchestry Health Check. So remember what I talked about. What is a health check? A health check is a snapshot point in time for your entire tenancy to help you understand what's happened. But not just that. In addition to that, I can create one of these and I can then go and also annotate these as well. A few options around health checks as well, which we find pretty useful. So one of the things that we can also do is we can automatically generate them for you. So super useful because we know in most organizations, maybe what you want to do is say like every month, generate one of these for us automatically through here. So you don't have to go in and manually do it. Nobody's got time for that. But you can schedule to be generated monthly or quarterly, for instance, or semi-annually. You can also choose how you want to review this. So a really interesting approach from a review process is I generate a health check. Maybe then I send it off to a series of reviewers which can annotate it. And then finally, I can publish it out and send it to people within my organization. So if you're an internal team that manages Microsoft 365, imagine the power of you as an internal team generating a health check, doing the review, publishing it, and then sending it out to the rest of your organization, maybe your CIO or CEO or whoever else you need to do it through here. Okay, so let's go and generate a health check, first of all, and see what this looks like. So from my health checks thing, I can see I've got a number of different health checks already created here. We're going to generate a new one because remember at Orchestry, it's none of this fluffy demo stuff where nothing gets generated and we all look at stuff. We want to do this live. We want to live on the edge. So I'm going to click on New. And we are going to call it Orchestry Sept Demo Health Check. I'm terrible at typing as well here in real time. We're going to say, let's take the last, let's go the last 30 days. But again, through here, you can also select the start date, right? So 60 days ago, 90 days ago. Again, we only brought out this feature on July the 17th, or sorry, the Orchestra was only installed here last year. So that's all the data that we have basically. But let's just do the last 30 days. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on generate here. So what's happening now is this was queued already. It's done. That's how quick it is, right? I'm going to refresh the page here. That's how quick it was, folks. It was like half a second. So really quick, really, really beautiful, ready to go. I've also gotten a Teams notification through here saying, hey, a health check has been created and it's ready for your review as well. Remember, because I was a reviewer through here. So let's go look at this beautiful health checks. So I'm going to click on this and this is what we get here. Now look at this amazing experience. Now, some of the data here is not particularly great because again, this is a demo environment. I'm going to show you in a second data from an actual one of our other demo environments, which is pretty interesting. So the first thing that we see on this Orchestry Health Check is a whole range of information across your entire Microsoft 365 tenancy, beautifully presented, whether it's Orchestry usage, whether it's your growth in workspaces. Now you can see here, this customer probably in a little bit of trouble here. Now this is one of our demo environments. We're provisioning content into here. This is why this is going up. But just a little click overview. Look at all this information, workspaces, your growth of workspaces, your breakdown of how many teams you have, how many private channels, all of your different SharePoint sites, whether they're team sites, whether they're communication sites, whether they're classic sites, how many Viva Engage communities you have, how many OneDrive spaces you have through here as well. We bring in things like the Microsoft Secure Score. Again, this is a demo environment, which we hardly ever use. Don't have a secure score around 36 in your organization. If you do, that's a problem. So you should definitely make sure you have it. Your workspace inactivity. Luckily, this is going down through here. So this is great. This is something that you want to see. your guest account information, how many sharing links have been created, your storage analysis for your tenant, your team's engagement. I mean, look at all of this information, right? Storage analysis from your tenant, from OneDrive, from Exchange, from SharePoint, your team's engagement. Again, it's not just these things around how much storage and security, even your team's engagement, right? Right? The daily amount of peak users, your channel messages, your leaderboard as well, which I'll talk about, Orchestry recommendations, and how many hours you've saved. That's how quick it was to create that. Couple of things which I want to talk about before we go into these particular elements. The real power of these health checks is not that it's just quick and beautiful, but the power really, when we spoke to our customers, is like, well, it's great that I can see that I have 5,500 workspaces, right? But what you really want to see is you want to see the change over time, right? And what we do here is for any particular date range, in this case, we did it for the last month, I can actually see the change over time into all of these particular items. This is why this is so powerful, because it really allows you to see what's changed over time and help you make better decisions. So for every one of our components through here, I can see that we have grown 4,300 workspaces in the last 12 days, which is 335%. That's probably not a good thing, right? We've had a massive growth in teams, a massive growth in private channels through here. Our workspace inactivity has gone down a ton. Now, the reason that it's gone down is because we're provisioning stuff constantly. And again, the way that we say is things are only inactive after 90 days. I can see that we've also had some guests. So in the last 30 days, previously 30 days ago, we had 98 guests. Now we've got 102. We've gone up 4%. Right? So all of this is really interesting because it really helps you understand those changes that have happened over time, right? That's what you want to see from these reports. That's the power of this. It's that change over time, because the change over time can help you make better decisions, right? It's very different for me running a PowerShell script and saying, oh, we got 5,500 workspaces. Yeah, we got a lot, but I actually have no idea if we've spiked in creation or not. You know, it's a very different experience through here. So let's talk about some of these elements. So first thing, your growth of workspaces. This is the creation of your teams and SharePoint sites and everything else. Complete overview into exactly what you have through here. Beautiful little kind of overview as well. Teams, team sites, SharePoint sites, communication sites, all of that sort of stuff. Again, Microsoft Secure Score, your guest accounts. This is incredibly useful, we find as well. Again, this can fit into our guest management feature. If you find that you have a ton of these guest accounts, you can instantly go into Orchestry, use our guest management feature into here and start maybe removing some of these. Another new feature that we've just added through here as well is sharing links. Really, really important from a Copilot readiness perspective through here. We have as good as a reporting as SharePoint Premium around sharing links and more coming very soon. But look, I can see that for some bizarre reason, in the last 30 days, we've gone nuts creating sharing links. Like we used to have one before, now we got 32,000. That's a problem, right? That's a major, major issue. That's something that I probably want to look into here as well. Looking into my storage analysis here, OneDrive's flat, Exchange is flat. Now, it's probably not going to happen in real life. Again, this is a demo environment. Our storage is going up. It's not going up a ton though, right? You know, 31 days ago, it was 0.8 terabytes. Now it's 0.9. That's fine. SharePoint storage has gone up as well. Notice everything is interactive when I hover over this beautiful display to see exactly what's going on here. Some other things that we have here, Teams engagement, how many peak daily active users, how many channel messages, how many chat messages as well, how many reactions, and how many mentions. Finally, we have our leaderboard. Now, leaderboard really calls out workspaces which we think of are of particular interest and has grown over time. And I think this is really, really interesting through here because it helps you capture kind of outliers, right, within the information that you have. So Amazon competitive discussions, they grew the most in the last 30 days, right? They grew by 610 gig. Right, we can see the total or total gigabyte growth as well here. So the total storage here, this is the one with the most amount of storage. This is the one that grew the most in the last 30 days, the Orchestry ones. Orchestry also grew the most amount of files, most amount of page views, file views and edit members and guests as well. So again, these kind of help you see some of these outliers that we have through here. And then finally as well, all of our Orchestry recommendations. We can see here that we can also see recommendations. So things that we think as of today, you should be looking at. And if you remember in the last session, these recommendations provide you a way to really determine what you need. But what we do with one of these reports is we show you the most urgent recommendations that we have first. The other thing that we also show you, if you're an Orchestry customer, your savings or your potential savings. Now we're saving a ton of time and ton of money because we're constantly provisioning into here. If a human being was provisioning, I think it's 4,000 workspaces a day and they were doing that manually, it's probably going to cost them this amount of hours. So this is pretty accurate. So this is great. So I've generated one of these reports. This is good. But imagine if you're someone and you generate this report, but now what you want to do is you want to go and annotate it. Right? You want to add some additional context because you know there's some things that are important through here. So I'm going to click on edit through here. Now, what we allow you to do is to annotate this because remember, we want this to be a live report, a live snapshot of your tenancy that you can then go out and send to other people. So I'm looking at the Orchestra usage. So this seems fine, right? That doesn't seem a huge issue through here. I look at our workspace growth. Now, this is obviously cause for concern, so I can go and add an annotation. So look how nice this is here. We really need to talk about growth in workspaces because it's nuts. I would probably say that's correct, especially if you're growing that quickly. So I'm going to click on save here. Now look what happens. This annotation now gets saved with this particular report. Now, the nice thing is now this becomes this surface where different users can go and add their own annotations through here, and then we can send it off to people to review. So I'm going to go and add an annotation here. The other annotation, which I think we should definitely talk about, is organizational links, right? So we should look at restricting org links in our SharePoint sharing settings, right? Makes sense for people. So again, I can go in, I can annotate these through here. I can add whatever comments that I want to here as well. In addition to that, I can also add an annotation for the report itself. So I can come in here and say, overall, looking good, but there are some areas we should look at. And namely, workspace growth, and what was the other thing that we talked about? Stopping org links, right? Or limiting org links. Limiting org links. All right. So again, this is an annotation for the entire report that we have through here. Now, I'm going to click on stop editing through here. So again, I can go back into this report through here. Now I can see there's 3 annotations on this health check. If I go and send this to someone, yep, this is great. This is great through here. But if you remember, what we also want to do is make this kind of a snapshot in time, but there's obviously going to be tasks and actions as part of this. So one of the things that I can do is also add a custom recommendation to this as well. So I'm going to click on edit. Now, if you remember our recommendations engine, let me just open it up here on the right-hand side here. Let me move this thing here. So our recommendations engine is kind of this automated way that Orchestry crawls your environment and gives you recommendations, right? And again, there's different types of recommendations that we have: workspaces near storage limits, workspaces with an unsafe default link, for instance, bloated workspaces, a whole bunch of good information. But this can also become a way that you can manage the tasks associated with your Microsoft 365 environment. So if you remember, we can add our own custom recommendations here as well. But what's really beautiful is you can actually add your own custom recommendation as part of this health check, which is really useful. So I can come in here and say, okay, I've looked at this health check. One of the things we definitely need to do is look at removing org links through here as well, right? So now what I'm going to do as part of this health check, I'm going to go and add a recommendation. So review SharePoint sharing settings, right? And description, need to limit org-wide links. Remember org-wide or anyone links? Org-wide links. And our recommendation is going to be, let's say, review and chat with security team. But my typing's not usually this bad. Just in demos, it's terrible. So please don't mock me here. Review and chat with security team, right? Now, we're going to say this is urgent. It's to do with security. It's to do with governance. Not that much to do with storage. Definitely to do with oversharing. And I'm going to say it also relates to a particular product. We're going to say SharePoint and part of our Copilot readiness through here, right? So again, click on add. I'm going to create this recommendation. And then that's it, right? I'm going to stop editing this here. I'm happy with this report. Maybe some others have also put in their own comments through here. And now I'm going to publish this out. Now, I'm going to click on publish, and a couple of things are going to happen. Firstly, you didn't see this, but the status of this has changed from ready to review to published. Now what you can do, you can automatically share this report with other people within your organization. But the other thing that you also do is as soon as you click on published, you're also going to get all those people which are defined as viewers are automatically going to get a notification saying your health check is ready to go for you. So if you're a customer, now you've kind of got this way that you can see over time how your environment has changed. But in addition to that, you've got all of your annotations here, so you can understand what's going on. I can also see any recommendations. So notice here, we've added a custom recommendation to review the SharePoint sharing settings. I did spell SharePoint incorrectly as well. Now I can view this report and I can say, well, this is great. What do we need to do? I can go back now to the recommendations engine as well through here. And again, I can see exactly what we've got through here. So here's the one that we've just added, this review SharePoint sharing settings one through here. Again, I can go view the details of this as well and get going through here as well. So again, really quickly and really easy to put all of this together. So if you're a customer, beautiful way, right? This can be generated monthly. It can be used as a snapshot. Of course, you can generate these whenever you want. If you're a partner, if you're a Microsoft partner, imagine the power of this where you can actually generate these on behalf of your customers, right? Then you can go and add your own annotations to this as well, right? So say, hey, here's your environment statistics. These are the things that we think that you should do as well through here. And again, what I can then do is go and add these and then send them out to your customers as well. So if you're running something like a managed service, if you're running something like a report, this is a quick and easy way to be able to do that for you. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go and view the chat and see if there's any questions. There's a lot of questions. Okay, sorry. I got what's it called? Very, very exciting here. Let me go and answer some of these, and I apologize here. Amelia, any thoughts on how can this be used to help our organization get ready for Copilot? Great question, Amelia. Lots of different ways, right? So a couple of things. Again, the health checks and the recommendations really fit in together nicely. So our recommendations engine, if I go into here, can really be used to help you understand how to get ready for Copilot. And we have a bunch of different recommendations that we have here. So let's view all of the urgent ones here. For instance, we have a bunch of recommendations around Copilot specifically. Actually, let me just clear that. Let's go into filters here, Amelia. Let's click on Copilot. That's what we're interested in. Let's click on apply. Lots of recommendations around Copilot, your default sharing settings, any workspaces you've got created with anyone links. Maybe you've got a SharePoint sharing settings. A lot of people don't know this. There's a SharePoint sharing settings, which allows guests to share items as well. You probably don't want that. So again, we can do that for you. So the first port of call is really going to be, actually, let me clear this, going through the recommendations and understanding those recommendations which are particular to Copilot. So things like, again, unsafe default sharing links, maybe bloated workspaces and all of that sort of stuff. The other thing that the health check can be ready for is, imagine if you created a health check called Copilot Assessment, Typing's going to be rough, people. Assessment, and it's going to be Sept 25th, right? And we're going to say, let's see what's happened over the last 90 days this time, right? We did 30. I know people are excited to see what's going on over 90. So I'm going to click on here. Queued for processing, ready for review straight away here, right? So now we see this information over the last 90 days. And again, this can help you understand, and you can start putting in those comments. So you can start coming in and say, well, you know, huge amount of workspace growth. This isn't great. Probably what you definitely want to look at is your sharing links as well through here. You want to look at your guest as part of Copilot readiness. You want to look at your secure score. You want to look at your team's engagement. There's going to be lots of stuff here that can be used for this. One of the other things and great questions is, of course, as with Orchestry, this is just a framework. So our first health check is called this tenant health check, we're calling it. But the next one that we're working on busily here is going to be a Copilot readiness assessment. And imagine that it's going to be quite different than this, but all items particularly for Copilot readiness. So much more of a deep down into shared links, things like storage analysis, users, OneDrive, all of that sort of stuff through here. So that's coming up down the pipe as well. Right, a couple of other questions. Anze. Dzień dobry, Anze. Can I share a health check with people outside my organization? You can, yes. Or sorry, they have to be, let me publish this one out here, and then I'll show you here. They have to be within your Azure AD tenant. So it's not like a random link that we essentially have through here. It would have to be someone that's within your tenant, basically, through here. So it's not a random link. They would have to already be a guest within your organization here. A couple of other questions as well. And the other answer is, well, yes, it's also going to be a PDF. I think that's coming up. I think it's next week or the week after. Yeah. So the PDF will generate a PDF here for you, and you can do it that way if you want by email. The PDF's also going to be a really nice experience because it's not just going to be the graphs and stuff. We'll also put in the comments, and it will look all beautiful and stuff. So you can do that as well. Couple of other thoughts as well. Oh, I think that's it. Yep. A couple of other pieces as well. Yeah. So again, this idea that you'll be able to go PDF it and share it out as well through here. So, bit of an overview of this particular feature. Again, we've found it incredibly useful. Imagine if you're a new customer to Orchestry, you want to get a lay of the land of your current environment. You can just go in here, click on health check, create it, and get ready to go. Imagine if, again, you're a larger organization, and what we've seen with a lot of our larger customers is they're using these health checks, they're generating it on a monthly basis, and what they're doing now is they're using this as part of maybe a governance review board, for example, or even an adoption review board. Because remember, this health check doesn't just contain governance information in terms of workspace growth and private channels and secure stuff. Again, it also contains information about Teams engagement through here as well. So this is something that we've found, which is incredibly useful. Now, none of this data is this interesting because, of course, it's a demo environment. What does this look like for a larger customer with some real data? So let me kind of show you into this here as well. This is data from one of our larger customers through here. This is not taken from their data, but kind of based on what they have. Kind of gives you an idea of some of the usage of an organization, which is about 50,000 seats of Orchestry. You know, how much they're provisioning, how many archivals. Again, lots of growth in workspaces, lots of teams, lots of SharePoint sites, all of that sort of good stuff. Lots of information about how many anonymous links they've created, internal links, external access links, you know, beautiful graph of kind of understand that growth over time as well. I find this really interesting, how much we see people's tenant storage grow, especially on SharePoint. I know a lot of you folks are probably paying for additional SharePoint storage. If you remember last demo, or a couple of demos ago, we went through all around the capability of Orchestry, reducing that storage footprint through here. But having seen a number of these, there's a couple of things which we find which border on hilarious and also horrifying. One of the things that we see is just how little people use channel messages. Channel messages are messages that people put in particular teams, versus chat messages. So the one-to-one thing. This ratio here is only like about 30 or 40 to 1. We see this being in the hundreds. And what this means is for a lot of you, for a lot of organizations, people are really using Teams chat, but they're not really using what we call channel messages, right? So channel messages are messages within Teams, right? They're not doing that, which is a real shame. But again, this Teams engagement can help you, or this report can help you understand that. So maybe you can start looking at some things from an adoption perspective through here. Another really interesting stat that we also see from a number of customers is just, again, the growth over time of particular pieces. So we see a lot of organizations where, they don't know that there's a SharePoint site that's growing by 19 gigs on a month-to-month basis, right? We've seen this of, things growing like a terabyte a month. It's just nuts for people. But again, this can all help you uncover all of these capabilities through here as well. So again, the demo environment, I know the data is not that interesting because, again, we're not actively using this, but in real life's environment, really, really fascinating content as well through here. Final thing, if you're a Microsoft partner, right, and you're like, this is amazing, we've got lots of customers, right? Imagine if we could use Orchestry as part of our managed services, install it into our tenants, and have a single view of all of our customers and be able to create these health check reports through here. Well, this is something that we do offer. I'm not going to talk about this. We'll do a separate webinar around this. But Orchestry also allows you to have a multi-tenant view. Now, you might be an organization that has multiple tenants as well. You can use the same thing, but what's really nice here, you can hook up these tenants. Everything is really, really secure, but you can hook up these tenants through here. You get some information around these tenancies as well in terms of like the licensing and all of that sort of stuff. But again, you can also generate these health checks as well from a single UI. So if you're a Microsoft partner or a managed services provider, you can do that directly from here. If you're a customer and you have multiple tenants, you can hook them all up to Orchestry and be able to run these health checks across multiple tenants at times as well, which is going to be really neat. All right, folks, lots of information through here. Let me just go back to the presentation and we will continue on this journey. We've only got about 3 minutes left. Okay, we'll get through this quick, folks. We'll get through this quick. So that's it. A couple of questions here from Amelia. How far does historical data go back and how long is it stored? The data is stored forever. And the historical data goes back. It really depends, Amelia. Some of the stuff we can get back from since when you installed Microsoft 365. Other data, it's from when you install Orchestry. There's a bit of a mix there. It really depends what the APIs give us, essentially, through here. So that makes it that makes it interesting. Rebecca, in terms of guest data and the comment that it is high compared to other orgs, where is this comparison data from? Is it from the Orchestry customer database or data from Microsoft? No, so Microsoft doesn't make that data available. It's from our few hundred customers that we essentially have. So it's not ideal. I mean, it's only a few hundred, Amelia. I wish I could get access to all of Microsoft's data. We can't, but at least it gives you a little bit of an idea, and at least it gives you a bit of a talking point, right, in terms of understanding what it is. Because if you're a customer who has, I don't know, like 50,000 guests and you're 100 users, then obviously you've got some issues there. All right, couple of minutes left. I know what you're thinking. How do I get access to all of this amazing stuff? How do I get access to it for free? Maybe all I want to do is install Orchestry, right? Run one of these health checks, see what's going on our environment. Can we do that? And the answer is, of course, we can. So with Orchestry, we can set you up with a fully functional 28-day trial. Again, this trial has all of the capabilities of Orchestry, not just the health checks, but recommendations and everything else. But again, we don't want to be just a company that gives you a piece of software and says go at it. So what we can even do is, if you're a larger organization, do something that we call a 28-day managed evaluation, right? So again, what essentially this allows you to do, we'll go through some sessions, session 1, session 2, session 3. Again, give you some hands-on experience into helping you understand the tool as well through here. And that's all available. Just feel free to be able to go and and reach out to us basically through there as well. Awesome. So thank you so much. If there's any other questions here, oh yeah, there's one more question here. Let me go back up to Aaron. Let me see if I can get this in the last 10 seconds here. How would this work from the standpoint of archiving and eventually deleting data, especially giving the right people just in time, right? So the order needs to be what needs to be stay archived, what needs to be. Aaron, it's a big question. I don't have an easy answer for you, but I'll make sure I'll email you with an answer to that. So if you weren't here on the last session or the couple of sessions ago, we talked about some of the archiving capabilities of Orchestry. That's going to do something for you, because what we can do as part of an Orchestry archival process, like you mentioned, is not just archive it, but change the permissions as part of that archival with that as well. But I'll get someone from the team to reach out to you, mate, and we'll get your question answered here as well. All right. Right on time here, folks. Thank you so much. I hope that was useful. A lot of information. Again, if you're interested, get in touch with us. We're more than happy to help, more than happy to get you started on your Copilot readiness journey or on your governance readiness journey. Join us next time in 3 weeks. I'm not sure what we're going to cover. It's going to be good. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun. Really appreciate everyone's time, and have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone.